Here is a brief part two of the proof that Jabari doesn't know what he's talking about. He says he teaches a college level or university level Kemetic class, Egyptian class, and I'm saying that he does not because these here are works of the scholars here. This here work is from a very credible source, which is called the Britannica. The Britannica has always been a very credible source. In the Hyksos dynasty, we can see, or the alternative titles, the 15th dynasty. Okay, it said the Hyksos dynasty of Palestinian origin that ruled northern Egypt as the 15th dynasty, 1630 to 1523 BCE. See ancient Egypt, the second intermediate period. The name Hyksos was used by the Egyptian historian Manetho, flourished around 300 BCE, who, accordingly to the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, flourished in the first century CE, translated the word as king shepherds or captive shepherds. Right? Josephus himself wished to demonstrate the great antiquity of the Jews and thus identified the Hyksos with the Hebrews, another black people. The Hyksos was, in fact, probably an Egyptian term for the rulers of foreign lands, the Hyksos, and it almost certainly designated the foreign dynasts rather than an ethnic group. And it almost certainly designated the foreign dynasts, which is the people of the Levant, rather than in one single ethnic group. Modern scholars has identified most of the Hyksos kings' names as Semitic. Jabari said there was none of the Hyksos kings' names were Semitic. He said they were not Assyrian. Assyrian is Semitic, as we can see that the Semitic, the Iblaites, and the Amaru all were Semitic speaking people, and we also know that Ashur was one of the sons of Shem. We'll go and prove that later, which were Semitic people, which were Assyrian people, which means that the Aramaic language, which is the mother of the Hebrew language, or sister language, or related so close to the Hebrew language that it is very intelligible amongst each other. So he cannot say, as well as the Canaanite language of the Amaru, all Semitic languages, and right here it tells you right here the Egyptian omelet, cowroid, seal emelet made of steelite and white glaze with the name of the Hyksos king Apopis of ancient Egypt, 1581 to 41 BC, which is said to have been around the time of the Exodus. They talk about the rise of the Hyksos kings in Egypt was made possible by an influx of immigrants. See, they're talking about an uprising had taken place. There was never, ever new information has found. You see, the stuff is telling you that this is brand new information. Modern scholarship has identified this stuff. You see, by the first four words, okay, of the last sentence here. Modern scholarship, which means these people's stuff about white Assyrian foreign invaders coming in, inhabiting and raiding African people. When all of this stuff was done by African black people, you know what I'm saying? Right there, it was an uprising. Right here, where we could see not an invasion. And all of this stuff just proves all of your Kemetic speaking people, your Jabari, Osazis, your Sarasut and Sedis, your Shaka Amoses, your Dr. Reggie's. Most of these people are very pseudo. You know what I'm saying? Most of the people that's coming up out of that has been appeared on the House of Consciousness as Kemetic scholars are teaching outdated information at best, and at worst, they are disingenuous scholars who are intentionally misleading the people who know that they are misleading the people. We can see right here the rise of the Hyksos kings in Egypt was made possible by an influx of immigrants from Palestine into Egypt, beginning around the 18th century BCE. Talking about the Canaanites, okay? The immigrants brought with them new technologies, including the horses and the chariots, the compound bow, and improved metal weapons. Most of them settled in the eastern portion of the Nile Delta, where they achieved a dominant role in trade in Western Asia. Archaeological excavations in the area have revealed a Canaanite styled temple, Palestinian style burials, including horse burials, Palestinian types of pottery, quantities of their superior weapons, and a series of Minoan frescoes that demonstrate stylistic parallels to the Knossos and Theria. The most prominent settlement was the Avaris. Remember the word Avaris, understanding that if you did a transliteration of that, that would be Abara or Abari, which means the Hebrews, a fortified camp over the remains of the Middle Kingdom town in the northern eastern delta. Their chief deity was the Egyptian storm and desert god Seth, whom they identify with a Syrian storm god Hadad. Okay, so the artifacts and the evidence clearly prove that these Hyksos people were black people. They were black people. They were black people from all throughout the Levant, from Canaanite, a Hamite Canaanite stock, ruling over, intermixing with, mingling with, uh, mating with, dominating over another black group of Semitic people. You can see that the Nubians, the Canaanites, which are the people from Syria, the Levant, the Palestinians, the Nubians, the Canaanites, the Libyans, all of these people, the Israelites, all of these people were seen as the Hyksos. You understand what I'm saying? So let's get a clarity to that. And all of these people that we see that the evidence clearly stated that was black and did have Semitic or Assyrian names. We done went down there through Assyria. We done showed that how Assyria, the Amaru, the land of the Amaru, which the hieroglyph speaks of, is the land of Syria, the entire Levant from what is called Israel today in Palestine, all the way over to Syria, all the way to Babylon. So Jabari does not know what he's talking about, and we're going to conclude this show. I thank you all for watching, and before we end this, I wanna go back to that one video that was on YouTube and just show those beautiful, beautiful black faces again. And I should catch Jabari in this lie again.
in control of Kemet. By the way, the kings of Kemet under the Hyksos, they don't have Assyrian names. Yakobam, that's one of the kings. That's an Assyrian name? That's not an Assyrian name. When they're chased out of Kemet,
Apophis is.
where are they chased to? Are they chased to Assyria?
They were chased to, no, yes, they were chased to Amaru, Assyria, Jabari. They were chased all the way from and all of the Levant was called Assyria, and we just proved all of that. So it is clear that you do not know what you're talking about. It's very clear. We got it again right here. We got it right here in the last sentence where it said modern scholarship has identified most of the Hyksos kings named as Semitic. And we got the seal of Apopis right here, going back to the 1581 to 41 BCE. Okay, we have that, and we have also that these people were Canaanites. You understand what I'm saying? We have that. We're going to double back over the information because to you get if you repetition is the best way to get people to learn this. You see, Canaanite Phoenicia. You see, tap on that. You go right up in there. Just tap over that one more time. Make the video real fast and quick. You see right there, talk about the Middle Kingdom. It said Phoenicia, what is today known as Lebanon and coastal Syria. Okay, Phoenicia was Lebanon and coastal Syria, and it came under several Assyrian rule on several occasions. You know, all of this right here: Israel, Judah, Ammon, Edom, Moab, the Sutians, the Amalekites, the Philistines, the Palestinians, the Canaanites from Tyre, Sidon, Bertius, Arvad, Simria, Tarshish. All of these were lands that was in Africa and throughout the Mediterranean. All of these people were considered the Hyksos, okay? And to the east, in modern terms, and the interior, to the east now, to the far east of the Levant, in modern terms, the interior of modern Syria, the Assyrian northeast excluded, the region had since the 24th century BCE been inhabited by the Canaanite speaking Amorites, and for a time the East Semitic speaking Iblaites also. Thus, much of the region had been known as the land of the Amaru. However, from the 12th century BC, a new Semitic group appeared in the form of the Arameans, and by the late 11th century BCE, this region was known as the Aramean Aram and Eber, which means Hebrew Nari, and remained named as such during the latter part of the Middle Assyrian Empire, the Neo Assyrian Empire, the Neo Babylonian Empire, and the Achaemenid Empire. The term Syria is actually originally a 10th century BC Indo Anatolian name for Assyria, centuries later applied to the Greeks during the Seleucid Empire, 311 to 150 BC. Not only to Assyria itself, but to most of the Levant. So all of the people in the Levant, all of the black people in the Levant, the ancient Afro-Asiatics, those the Amaru, were the people that were the Hyksos, the Shashu and the Amaru. The Amaru, Shashu, and Hyksos all were the same people, and Egypt did not belong to just one specific Mizraimite group of people from Ham. It was a metropolis for the whole Hamitic family. Okay, so we can see that these people here who talking about that they know this information about these Hyksos really don't know much at all. And we're going to go back here, and I want to just end this with these
people
beautiful
who are
black
beyond the
faces.
pale. Foreigners are dirt under the feet of the beyond the pale. Foreigners, they are described as that vile foe. People who are beyond the pale. Foreigners are dirt under the feet of the Pharaoh.
Images of foreigners were carved on footstools like this, so Egyptians could show their superiority by symbolically and literally trampling on them. Nubians, Libyans, Asiatics, all were depicted as ugly, as savages, not worthy of placing a foot on Egyptian sand. But now northern Egypt and even the pyramids stood on land governed by foreigners.
This was the work.
That's it, y'all. Peace.